Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, how are you? I'm Daanish as your presenter today. Will accompany you in the next 10 minutes in our program, Good Morning. For today, Good Morning will present latest news from the United States of America. The first news is about submarine. Recently, we are shocked by information about drowning of submarine in the North Atlantic Ocean, which mission is to view closely for the Titanic where one of the passengers was billionaire. This is the latest investigation report from Padaha Arabasar.
What started as an adventure to the bottom of the ocean to examine the rotting remains of the Titanic ended in disaster last week off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. All 5 people aboard underseas exploration company OceanGate Expeditions' Titan submersible craft died when the vessel imploded. Canadian investigators are trying to determine what led to the disaster.
Typically, our investigations can take 18 months to 2 years. We obviously try and do them quicker because we know everybody wants answers, particularly the family, the public, etc. But we need to take the time. With respect to how far we will go, that remains to be seen as we gather information. So it's still too early to tell.
Authorities say fragments near the Titanic are the remains of the Titan. In a 2018 lawsuit, OceanGate's former director of marine operations described the company's testing and certification as insufficient and said that would subject passengers to potential extreme danger, according to PBS. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, say an investigation is looking into the matter.
A team of investigators has been established with the sole purpose of answering the question of whether or not a full investigation by the RCMP is warranted. Such an investigation will proceed only if our examination of the circumstances indicate criminal, federal, or provincial laws may possibly have been broken.
Titan's operation in international waters meant it could skirt safety regulations and standards for things like hull construction. The Associated Press reports late OceanGate Expeditions CEO and Titan pilot Stockton Rush had said he didn't want to be bogged down by such standards. Canada's Transportation Safety Board, or TSB, will investigate the role of icebreaker and mothership, the Polar Prince, which carried the Titan out to sea. The TSB says it's been speaking with those who traveled on board but may be limited in what it can share with the public. Under Canadian law, says TSB Chair Kathy Fox, voice recordings and witness statements are protected. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
The next information, NASA. Recently, NASA has reported that they have successfully made a simulator door to the planet Mars. For more detail, let's watch the coverage.
We begin this week, as we often do, with another successful launch from private spaceflight company SpaceX. Its cargo on this trip, however, is something entirely new. The Falcon 9 rocket carried a satellite that will operate NASA's Tropospheric Emissions Monitoring of Pollution instrument, or TEMPO. TEMPO is NASA's first space-based instrument to monitor daytime air pollution in North America. The Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory says TEMPO will revolutionize air quality forecasts. NASA says TEMPO should start work in late May or early June. Some bad news this week if you were planning to shop around for the best flight deals to space. Your options just shrank as billionaire Richard Branson's Virgin Orbit recently filed for bankruptcy. The company laid off about 85% of its workforce as it watched its market value plunge more than $3 billion in the past 2 years. In other news, NASA is ready to play Big Brother by observing a 4-person crew in a Mars simulator in Houston, Texas for about a year. Inside this 3D printed structure called Shapia are 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a gym, and scattered objects to mimic the Martian experience.
So the Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog, or Shapia, was developed as a 1-year Mars surface simulation with the intent that we can have crew in isolation and confinement with Mars realistic restrictions, and we can really start to understand how those restrictions are associated with their health and performance over that year.
NASA says it will monitor human behavior in the close and confined quarters to see how well the crew gets along. The agency hopes to send astronauts to Mars sometime in the next decade. Finally this week, a beloved children's character and newly minted astronaut, Shaun the Sheep, recently returned home. Shaun joined NASA for its Artemis 1 trip to the moon late last year. He flew more than 2.2 million kilometers on his journey before digging his hooves back in British soil. Arash Basadi, VOA News.
The last information is about City Natural Challenge, which was held in Los Angeles. This was involved thousands of scientists, citizens from 47 countries. How was the event going? Let's watch the coverage.
Results are in from the global science project called the City Nature Challenge, the 4-day event held in late April and early May.
They're trying to document as many plants and animals as possible, and they're taking that time to reconnect with nature.
Students from La Paz, Bolivia, were among people from 445 cities who took part. The challenge began in 2016 as a competition between San Francisco and Los Angeles and has now grown into an international event. Participants upload photographs through an app called iNaturalist. Among the findings,
the dusky shark, which is an endangered species that was documented off the coast of Australia,
a recently discovered orchid species in Bolivia, the tiger keelback snake from first-time participant Jeju in South Korea, and the endangered Przewalski's horse, documented by a Ukrainian zoologist. Northwest of the capital city of Kyiv,
over 7,000 observations made in the Ukraine. So there are scientists all over the world taking part in this, and sometimes the conditions in the place that you live aren't that amenable.
Data collection was easier in most other countries, where people from all walks of life joined the project.
You know that there are a lot of teachers and school groups, there are a lot of family groups, there are a lot of single adults who are just like, this is what I love to do on my weekends and evenings.
Tens of thousands of people creating a year-by-year record of life on Earth. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Los Angeles.
That's all the various information from American, delivered in the Good Morning program. Today, hope the information is useful and also increase your knowledge. 1. With the Good Morning crew. Withdraw from mobile screen and see you next time.